we're planting our rainwater sand cistern. Now there are a variety of native and non-native plants that are suitable for planting in a cistern. And these are going to be the same types of plants that we'd use in a rain garden because the two sites have very similar growing conditions. What we're looking for are plants that can tolerate both periods of saturated soil as well as dry periods between our rainfall events. Now some other considerations would include matching the plant selections to the surrounding landscape. You want it to look a natural part or extension of your regular landscape. We've also considered maintenance. We wanted low maintenance. Now you can use annuals as well as perennials in a sand cistern, but we went with mostly grasses and perennials to keep it a little bit lower maintenance. Another consideration is that we wanted to use plants that are familiar to gardeners. The sand cistern itself is kind of a new idea, so we wanted the plantings to be something that people are familiar with. So what we've ended up is a selection of grasses and perennials. The grasses include Karl Forster reed grass, as well as Adagio miscanthus. We have bee balm or monarda, and we're using a cultivar called raspberry wine. We also have some Siberian iris, and the cultivar that we're using is called Caesar's Brother, and an echinacea from the Big Sky series, and this one is Harvest Moon. We have a couple more plants coming. We're going to be including some cardinal flower as well as daylilies. So these are all plants that we're readily familiar with. Now when we're planting, we want to use an established plant. You don't want to grow from seed. You want something that has an established root system because the seeds just aren't going to take well in these fluctuating conditions of the sand cistern. And another consideration is when you're digging, you want to be very careful because if you remember, we have a layer of fabric mulch underneath our soil, and we don't want to tear that as we dig. We also want to avoid digging into our sand columns. And since we've just established our cistern, I went ahead and left the containers that we put in to separate our soil and our sand columns, and I'm going to leave these in place until we finish planting, and then we could remove those. Now, like any garden, we want to mulch it once we're finished, and the mulch will help protect the soil from wind erosion, help manage weeds and soil moisture. But organic mulches decompose and they break down into little organic matter which can seep down into the soil and into the sand and fill up those pore spaces. So to keep it cleaner, what we're using is a gravel mulch, and this won't decompose over time. It'll stay in place. It'll be a little bit cleaner in our cistern. And we're using just a 3/8 inch pea gravel. So when we finish planting, we'll spread about a 3-inch layer all throughout our garden. Now there's several resources that you can use to learn more about rain garden planting. The OSU Low Impact Development website has a number of resources for rain gardening which are applicable to the sand cistern. Also, Texas AgriLife Extension has a listing of plants suitable for the rain garden on their website. And many of these plants are also well adapted to Oklahoma's climate.